Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post ceremony. My name is Craig Burrell, and joining us today from the Australian Army is Warrant Officer Class 1 Joanne Davey. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that support them. We acknowledge the members of RSL and Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria, and RSL Queensland, who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the pool of reflection by visitors to the memorial. If you are able, please stand and join in singing the national anthem. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn their loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit in the hearts of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 102,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the pool of reflection.
Today we remember and pay tribute to Private John Campbell Drylie. Jack Drylie was born on the 3rd of March 1916, the only son of William and Agnes Drylie of Murwillumbah, New South Wales. He and his 3 sisters were brought up on their father's banana plantation at Stoker's Siding. Jack was educated at the Cleveland, Gympie and South Brisbane schools and went on to work assisting his father on the banana plantation. In 1938, he was in an accident on the Pacific Highway when his motorcycle collided with a car. He recovered from his fractured hand and extensive lacerations after a period in Brisbane General Hospital. Jack Drylie had 3 uncles who had served in the First World War, one of whom was killed in action in Belgium in October 1917. Perhaps this influenced his decision to enlist in the 2nd Australian Imperial Force shortly after the outbreak of war in 1939. He left Murwillumbah with a contingent of 22 young men bound for training camp on the 25th of October 1939. Despite leaving the train station early in the morning, a fine muster of citizens assembled to see them off. Veterans of the First World War led the singing of the war songs of their day, and each member of the contingent was given a bag of fruit, cigarettes and money along with 3 lusty cheers. The last Jack Drylie would have seen of Murwillumbah was a crowded railway platform with the band playing Auld Lang Syne as the train steamed out. Jack Drylie was posted to the 2nd Battalion, beginning his training at Ingleburn Army Camp before leaving for active service overseas in early 1940. His battalion was first sent to Egypt and continued his training in the Palestinian desert for the remainder of the year. In early 1941, the 2nd Battalion became one of the first Australian battalions to fight in the Western Desert Campaign when it took part in the Battle of Bardia in Libya. The 16th Brigade launched an attack on the Italian-held village of Bardia in the early hours of the 3rd of January 1941. The 2nd Battalion had been ordered to support the left flank of the 2nd 5th Battalion during the operation. The men left for their start line on time under the shell fire of the half-light of dawn. As they went, the men of A Company began singing, and the whole battalion took up the song, launching the attack singing together. Although they encountered stronger defences than expected, it was later reported that all ranks showed great dash and determination, and the general success of the battalion was hard-earned and deserved. That success had come at a price, however, and the 2nd Battalion suffered a significant number of casualties. One of those killed was Private Jack Drylie. Little is known of the manner of his death, but his body was recovered from the battlefield and was buried nearby. Today, his remains lie in the Halfaya Solemn War Cemetery in Egypt, under the words, "Great love hath no man than this." He was 24 years old. His name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my left, among almost 40,000 Australians who died while serving in the Second World War. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Private John Campbell Drylie, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
Lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Poziere or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the last post ceremony. We thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial, and we wish you all a very good evening.